Hello, my name is Janice B. Gordon, and this is Scale Your Sales Podcast. Welcome to Scale Your Sales Podcast, listed number 9 of 43 best podcasts for every sales professional. I am Janice B. Gordon, the customer growth expert, recommended by LinkedIn Sales as one of 15 innovating sales influencers to follow. In this episode of Scale Your Sales Podcast, my guest talks about the challenges the company has had being based in Kiev, Ukraine. She said that none of us expected this, but yet the team is her hero in the way that they've had to adapt, but still serve their customer and be competitive. She explains how the team split some years ago, the Salesforce team that is dedicated to exclusively attracting new customers, and the customer success team's main goal is success and happiness of the customers, but really delves into the details of removing that multitasking and being very focused and enabling the customer success team to really support the customer with the technology so that they can get best use out of it. My next guest is Tetiana Gorbonova, who is head of sales at Jooble, a top 10 global job search website. With over 11 years of experience, she has successfully transformed the sales team and implemented cross-team processes. Leading sales in 67 countries, Tetiana is also a board member of Jooble. Welcome to Scale Your Sales Podcast, Tetiana Gorbonova.
Hi, Janice.
It's good to have you here coming from the Ukraine. I'm really grateful, and we all know there's a lot going on there, so it's great for you to share your time. But let's start with really the story of, your organization and what it has been doing over the last couple of years in order to continue to serve your customers.
Yes, thank you for asking. I know that, for today, almost the whole world looks for Ukraine, for all this terrible situation. And of course, for us, it's a really great challenge for our company to go through all this situation, through all this war. And for my team, it's extremely important to provide a great service to our customers during all this time. So,
So how have you continued to provide a service? You're in Kiev, that's the headquarters of it. Obviously, you had a lot of bombs and disruption. So how have you kind of managed the workforce that you've continued to serve your customers?
That's a great question. I would like to start from the very beginning, because it was such an experience for us. We were not ready for that, like nobody in Ukraine. So sure thing, it was quite hard for us. But during the first day after the war started, we communicated all together with my team and just made a plan how we will go further. And we organized the team this way that we can support all together each other. Successfully or fortunately, there were some people who were abroad when everything started, and it was very good for us because we were sure that they can support us. But we were all on the phone. Everybody was in touch, even when some people worked from some shelters. I knew where everyone is from my team. It was very important for me just to understand what's going on. And I was really proud, and I'm still proud to say that absolutely every client was provided with great service during all this time. We even received feedbacks like, wow, guys, we are really happy that in this terrible situation, you're still working and do everything for us, because for us, it was also very important, because our company also helps to people who are now in the war, to our soldiers. We donate lots to our army, and also just for people who need this help. And not only people, for example, I know, and personally, me, I also donate lots of money and help to some organization who helps some to pets, animals, because they also need it right now. So yeah, and if we'll back to my team, I would also say that yeah, now it's much easier because now the situation is not that it was like almost 2 years ago, but at the same time now when we see that like when this is sirens or something like that, we also keep in touch and just communicate with each other, like how are you, if you're need some time, we'll support you today, etc., etc. So this way we know that our client will receive support anyway. So, and sure thing, in a technical manner, we also made it that everyone can join, that has an access to the emails from the other managers. So we are sure that absolutely every customer will receive an answer in time.
Right. So in terms of, so you must have like, do you have the infrastructure, but there's a backup to the infrastructure? Because sometimes, you know, I'm sure you don't have electricity, you know, and you don't know when that's going to happen. So did you have to kind of find the backups to the backups that, as you said, no one knew this was going to happen? So what were the first things that, obviously making sure that, you know, everyone's safe and your staff, but in order to continue the business and the service to the customers, after knowing that people were okay and safe, and I know that you said before that you know, sometimes your staff just not able to work full hours, things happen, so you have to have that flexibility with people. So what was the next thing after you know, the people, how did you make sure that the infrastructure was secure so that whatever happens, your customers still get what they need?
That's a good question. Yeah, we also, frankly speaking, we've bought lots of power banks for absolutely everyone, just to be sure that in case there are some issues with electricity, we still can work during this period of time. And in our headquarters, we also provided absolutely everything, also Starlinks that can help us to work in almost in any conditions. I would like to notice that now the situation is really good, and now there is absolutely no issues with electricity, etc., etc. We realize that in winter the situation can change, but at the same time now we are ready for that, and I'm sure that absolutely everyone who is in Kiev, in headquarters, or in other regions, because we have some offices also in Ukraine and abroad. So we are prepared, and our Kiev office is like our second home, because we've prepared lots of stuff, not only for work, but also in case if we understand that somebody will need to stay there for a long period of time. It's also there. I mean, there are even some beds in our office. So if somebody will need to take shower or to sleep, it's also provided in our headquarters.
So how has this, I mean, it's going to have an impact on the culture. I mean, obviously you're very resilient people. You only need to look at the army for that, you know, very resilient people. But you know, in business, how has this changed your culture? I would imagine it's made you stronger and fitter and more determined. But how does that play out? What does that look like?
I think that all this terrible situation even helped us to be more brave and to work more as a team. Because I saw that during the first months of war, there were lots of different collaborations and initiatives that were focused on business and also on some volunteer activity. We also launched a really great initiative, Help Ukrainians. It means that it's jobs that are abroad for people from Ukraine who had to leave Ukraine because of war. And it was really great project. We contacted lots of different job boards and they all wanted to provide us with their help. And it was so much supportive from their side. We were really happy for this help. And I also would like to admit that I remember that the first month is everybody was so active. We worked really enormous, and I was even I was nervous a little bit for my team because I saw that somebody worked late at night, and yeah, people were really very engaged in all that, and I think that it made us much braver. It's very sad that that lead to that, but on the other hand, I see that it was very positive for us as a team.
So Jooble is an international job aggregator. So perhaps first, for posting jobs, and then you said that actually that kind of helped to find positions for people that had to leave. So kind of explain to me what you mean by a job aggregator. Sorry. Yeah. What do you do for, job postings?
Yes, thank you for that question. It works very easy. It's like a Google, but it works just for jobs. It means that if you would like to see a job in London, for example, it can be a job of a coach. You just you just go to Jooble and then you type that your location is London and you are looking for some opportunities for coaches, and you see absolutely all jobs that now are available in the UK, in London, for this position. And it takes so much less time if then you would go to the other sites and search for coaches on lots of websites. So it's very easy for our job seeker, and it's absolutely free for every job seeker. And we know that we have validation for all of the jobs, so we are sure that our job seeker will land to a good and real position that is still open. It's free to apply, because it's also very important, because there are lots of websites that provide opportunity to see the job description only if you pay something or something like that. And it's very important for us to be sure that we don't have side jobs on our websites. So we have a special team and they validate jobs, and then they look that they're still open, they are still actual. So because it's important for us to provide our job seeker with a great experience on our website.
So in terms of your kind of revenue generating, how does that work? What are your sales teams selling?
Yeah, good question. Thank you. We work with absolutely different websites that have jobs on their websites, open position. For example, that can be some job boards, that can be websites of companies or programmatics, etc., etc. Some staffing agencies. And for example, you're a job board and you would like to hire some people, or now your job board, you have lots of jobs, and then as an aggregator, we can take the jobs and post them on Jooble. And when job seeker will click on your job ad on Jooble, you'll just pay some money for this click, but the job seeker will land to a website to apply. So in this way, you'll provide much more candidates on your website, your job boards, and we can provide such job seekers. So we do this match, like employers in different ways. As I said, they can be of different source types, and the job seekers who is looking actively for a new opportunity.
Okay, so you say that you've got a large volume of clients, and their goal objectives will depend on different types of businesses. But give me a success story of the what you do for your customers that's perhaps uniquely different to other job sites.
Yeah, they can be really different. For example, for such a kind as a job board, yeah, it's highly important to receive the CVs of the candidates. So, for example, if it's a job board, they have their clients, and it's important for this type of customer to receive as much possible candidates as possible, and it's important also to be in target with the price per each CV of the candidate. And at the same time, they have their budget volume, and they expect we will provide enough candidates using the whole budget, because after that, they work with their customers on the other side. It can be like this way. On the other way, we can also provide such we can work this way that the user will also see the whole job description on our website, and it's also possible to apply on Jooble. And this way, we just provide already like CV of the candidate who already paid the whole job description, he or she like this and wants to apply. So this is another kind of like monetization. And for some source types, for some type of customers like recruiting agencies or staffing agencies, this type is much more interesting. So it can be, it can diverse.
So tell me the difference between, well, I know the difference between cost per click and cost per action, but how do you actually help your customers to kind of refine that so they get better conversions?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for example, actually, even if some customer works on the CPC model and pays per click, we know that the conversion rate is also very important. For example, we know that some of them, they count how much candidates we provided and what was the price for each candidate, etc., etc., even if we're talking about the CPC model. But if we are talking about the CPA model, it means that, for example, we know exactly that there are several, for example, campaigns on Jooble of some customer, and we have target for each campaign. Then we can work on the CPA model. CPA means it can be different type of CPA, like the action can be really different. It can be a registration, it can be an application that we provided, and can be only start of apply, for example, when we see that because job seeker has already read job description and started this apply. So it means that job seeker clicked on the button apply. It calls like apply start. It can also be like adding to favorites, etc., etc. It can rise from customer to customer. It depends on how this website works. So I would like to say that much more typical CPA, like this action, it's application or apply start. In some cases, it can be registration, but for example, nowadays, there are not so much customers, for example, at Jooble, who works with this model.
So is it your customer success teams that work directly with the customers to identify which of the models will be better for them, and the measurement of the cost per action, exactly what action you're measuring? What do you want, what creates the greatest success for the campaign? Is that the job of your success, customer success?
For example, if we're talking about our customer success team, customer success manager knows exactly what is the target of each customer. For example, if we know that for this type of client, we work with a CPA model because of this client has such type of business. For example, it's recruiting agency. We understand that for sure the CPA model is much better, and usually even starting the campaign or starting our preparation, we already know that this model will be much more applicable for this type of customer. And after that, we usually set like conversion tracking system on our side with the client, just to track this conversion and to see what is the behavior of job seeker when we send job seeker to the website of our customer, because it's only using these data we can do some optimizations on our side, and in result our customer will be happy because we will get enough candidates volume, and will also provide these candidates with a good price, because these all two metrics, they always work together.
I see. So do your customers come to you, your businesses, the agencies, they have job roles? Do they come to you and they already have a great deal of knowledge around the cost per action and cost per clicks, and so they actually know what they want? Or actually is the part of the role and the sale of what you're doing is the consultation to better guide and advise them as to what is the best way of optimizing the results?
That is a great question. Frankly speaking, it really varies. It absolutely depends on the type of customer. But I would like to say that in any way, we always work as we always give consultations and our recommendations, because this field is very hard and it's very dynamic. And I understand that even if our customer works not only with us, but with I don't know, 10, 20 other sources, other partners, and the customer has already some information about the prices, about the situation of the market. But at the same time, we at Jooble, we have like another ecosystem. We have some other clients, and it's also very important to provide our customer with the information what is going on now on the market. For example, we can see how jobs of this very customer, how they perform in comparison with the other customers on this market. And it's highly important because, for example, sometimes we can see that the customer has too low prices or too high prices. And because of that, the customer can receive the results that are not okay, and then we provide some recommendations, and that is some part of this optimization process. So yeah, we always work as a consultants. And I also would like to mention that when we make some new tools, some new mechanisms, it's also, like some challenge for us, because we understand that a lot of customers, they didn't work yet with such type of tools, and we have to teach them. We have to share some information, not only about the market, but also about some instruments. And we even can understand that after we teach them, they will use it not only with us, but it's also okay. It's also okay because we understand that it's also like positive experience, and anyway, it will lead that our customer will be happy, and it's our main goal.
Excellent. I love that. What strategies do you use to optimize the salespeople in your sales operation?
Yes, thank you. Even less than 1 month ago, my teams, both teams like customer success team and Salesforce team, we had a very good training about pitching, about how to talk with customers, how to set them questions, how to go into discussions, because sometimes it can also be. So I would like that to say that here we use some mix, like of some trainings for the whole teams, and we also have some knowledge sharings with inside of the teams, and cross-team knowledge sharings. I mean that it's like normal practice at Jooble that, for example, when we have some new tool that is delivered by some engineer team, we ask them to come to our sales team and to give us a knowledge sharing session with a Q&A, because it's highly important for us not only to talk to customers, but also to provide them information about how it works, or for example, how work some algorithms at Jooble, etc., etc. And it also depends how then our manager, customer success manager, will work with these tools, because when we know exactly what kind of data do we have or what kind of tools we can use, then we can find the best decision for each customer. So yeah, that is like very important. We started to do that like about 3 years ago, and I see that the results are brilliant. So that's really great, because when you know the product and you have great communication skills, you will have great product, great sales. So that's very important.
I think it's really interesting that you see your role very much as the educator as well, but not only externally to the customer, but internally as well, to make sure you really understand the algorithms. And as you say, it's a very dynamic market as well. It's very competitive as well. So, it seems that that is probably helping you to have a competitive edge, that you're always kind of like pushing to make sure you're sharing knowledge, which is excellent. So in your experience, to what extent does customer experience impact sales?
Could you say
once again? Your experience, to what extent does the customer's experience of impact the actual sales results? Customer
experience is highly important, and we also we make surveys, customer surveys, just to understand how much our customers are satisfied with our product, with the service we provide them, and also what kind of instruments and tool they would like to see in our product. And it's really valuable, and I understand that this year we are going to do one more survey, and we've started to prepare it in advance, because we have done lots of new features this year, and it's important for us to understand how it's impacted also to our customers, because we understand that like the biggest customers, enterprise customers, they work mostly via our customer success manager, because it's much more easier. We understand that usually they have lots of partners, and like regular calls with our customer success manager is much more comfortable for them. But at the same time, it's also important for us to understand that each customer has this possibility to go in their account and to see all the information and to make some changes in settings, etc., etc. So yeah, speaking about experience, it's highly important, and it's also important not only during this collaboration. I mean, when the customer already has paid campaign on Jooble, but also this onboarding process, because and that is also important. We couple of weeks ago, we were in discussion how to make this onboarding process much easier for our customers. I mean, how to start this campaign and how to make it much more smoothly for our customers, etc., etc. So yeah, and I understand that in our business, when the customer has to check each month the performance and realize how it goes, how much the customer is happy with the campaign with us, depending on it, we receive the budget for the next month. So it's also, you know, like it reflects the happiness of our customers almost each month. So yeah, experience is very, very important in a word.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, Tetiana, who is your hero or shero?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, for today, I would like to say that for sure, my hero is my team, because I'll back to the story that started our conversation today, and it's also like a team of heroes, because we go through such a situation today, but I understand that they really great team, and even in such hard times, we are still go further. We have lots of new processes. We joined lots of events during this year, and even previous year, when even when almost it started in March, if I'm not mistaken. It was so much great for me. So yeah, I'm sure for sure I'll say that for today, my hero is my team.
Excellent. So, Tetiana, how can listeners get hold of you?
Sorry, could you repeat?
How can listeners get hold of you? Where should they go to connect with you?
Oh, yeah, sure. We can meet at LinkedIn. Please feel free to follow me at LinkedIn, and I'll happy to contact with you, or via Facebook. Also, I'll provide my link to my profiles.
Excellent. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for sharing your story and the story of your team as well, and the successes despite, you know, all the odds and the challenges. It's really heartwarming. So, Tetiana, thank you so much for being a guest on Scale Your Sales podcast.
Thank you very much, Janice, for today's evening. It was really interesting to be here today.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Scale Your Sales podcast. If you like this discussion, feel free to listen to other episodes or watch the captioned show on YouTube and subscribe to future episodes. I would really appreciate it if you would leave a positive review on iTunes. Thank you.